back to another conversation for inspiration. My guest today is someone who I find so inspiring, very creative person, very passionate person, and someone who I love dearly. But before I go on and on, let me give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Liza. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Toronto. That is who I am.
Singer-songwriter based in Toronto, yes.
Based in Toronto right now. Yeah, and you'll know more about me the more that Sarah asks. So.
Of course. So, and like you said, singer-songwriter. So I know you love performing, and now, in the midst of this pandemic, a lot of, shows and performances have been canceled. So how has that affected you? When's the last time you've performed?
Yeah, that's been really shitty. Because I do love performing. I think it's such an amazing opportunity to connect with so many like supporters and to gain new fans. So the last show I had, I was doing an International Women's Day show at the Drake Underground, which is a venue in Toronto. And then I actually had some shows lined up in New York that got canceled because of COVID. So that really sucked. But like I've been really fortunate to get like a whole bunch of live stream performances. I've been doing that, which has been cool. But I like miss the human interaction of it
Right.
all. So
So the last time you said was the Drake Underground. When was that?
that was early March.
Early March. Yep, that's when shit hit the fan. So
Planning an International Women's Day show, so it was like really, really cool. I
yeah.
love obviously international women are amazing. So
Yeah, of course. And speaking of that, so the Drake Underground, I know you've also performed at the Soho House and of course South by Southwest. I believe that was in Austin, right?
yeah, yeah.
Of all the performances that you've done, what are some of your major performances or the ones that were, your top favorites?
Well, okay, it's kind of tricky because like going to Austin was my first time performing in the States, and that experience alone was so fun. Honestly, looking back, it was probably one of the best times of my life so
Wow.
far. I had so much fun. I wish I got to experience, like, really appreciate the time in the moment because I was like, have this show and this show and this show, and I wasn't really like living in the moment. And looking back, it was so fun. Like, I was surrounded by so many amazing friends, got to meet so many amazing artists, and made new friends, got to perform. Like, I had people like fly down from like or drive down to from San Antonio to come see me. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
That was like super super dope. But in Toronto, like my favorite performances, probably for opening for Ravina, which was like a super cool performance. Probably one of my biggest shows. Just because the fans are incredible and they're so supportive, and Ravina is just like such an amazing human being, and she's such a gem. And also for Kyle Dion too, his show was amazing. He's spectacular. So his fan base, like I love meeting the people that like come to the shows, and like those are probably like the best I've had so far.
That's awesome. So I'm sure like you said in the meantime you're doing like live streaming type of performances and
Yeah.
it's not the same thing, but do you still feel kind of fulfilled still?
Um, it's not the same feeling because you're doing like pre-record performances or just like Instagram lives, and you're connecting with like a social media app. So like sometimes you do get that like engagement, that live engagement, but it doesn't beat that feeling or that adrenaline of like being on stage and actually feeling the crowd's energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And so, let's rewind a little bit. I want to talk about kind of like your passion for music, when that started and like when you took it seriously. So I feel like, I mean, I've known you for a very long time and I remember us being little kids and singing together and stuff. So I know you've loved to sing since you were like a kid, but when did it start to become like, okay, you know what, instead of singing in the shower, I'm going to grab a microphone and sing in front of people?
Honestly, like I've been singing since I was like 4, and like you said, we were singing together like in Ethiopia and stuff. And like I think I took a trip to Ethiopia by myself in 2015, and I remember like this is gonna sound so scenic, but I was literally sitting on top of a mountain, and I remember being like, "What is it that I want to do with my life?" Like obviously, like I sing and stuff like that, but what am I really trying to do? And I was like, music is what I want to do. And then I cut my trip short and flew back to Toronto, and it like found the only producer I knew at the time and literally made my first song, and I was like kind of just going
Wow.
from there.
That
Yeah.
is so beautiful.
Mhm.
So when you wrote your first song, like, is that something that you already had, like, you had written up, but you just didn't know what to do with it, or you were like, no, I'm gonna come back and start my song, like, start writing now?
Literally, that first song is an interesting song. I like literally, I was like, how do I write? Like, because I was writing poems from
Yeah.
time. So writing a lot of poems, writing a lot of just like journaling and stuff, but writing a song, like I've been writing songs since I was 16. They weren't any good. So the first song that I actually like put out, that song, I literally recorded on a metronome because it didn't have a beat and have anything to write to, and I don't know why I didn't look up beats and stuff to just write to. So I literally recorded it to like a in the studio and like and then he built the beat around, and that's how my first song kind of came about. So it was about this guy that I wanted to get to know. Jesus.
That first song, is it All Alone?
No, it's called Just Chill.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Can we just chill? Sorry, I'm not gonna sing it, but it's such a cute song. That's so cute. So, what are some of the inspirations behind some of your songs? Because like I've listened to like everything, and your music is so vulnerable and so emotional, and sometimes your lyrics, they're simple but powerful. So, like, where do you like draw from? Like, is this personal experiences?
Um, every song has been a personal experience or about someone that I've encountered or met or had a relationship with. Um, I like feel everything. So like the littlest thing, you could probably write a song about it. Cut me off in traffic, I could probably write a song about it because it will evoke some emotion within me. I'm just like a super emotional person in general. So that is where it all comes from.
And look, I think uh, people that are super emotional, I don't look at that as a weakness. I look at that as a strength. And the fact that you can use that and like, find a creative expression, a creative outlet, and that be music, and it comes out so dope, like that's super beautiful. Is music kind of like your therapy in that sense then?
It's one of my many forms of therapy. I like paint a lot to like alleviate stress. I like just sometimes if I don't want to write a song, I'll just write a poem. Or if I don't want to, I will write anything. I have tons of notebooks where I'm just like, I feel this way, and I'll go like and go a little crazy on the sheet. Because like yeah, I just need to get it out. Like I need to write it down in order to capture that moment. Because I think every page that I write is sort of like a chapter in my life. So sometimes I'll catch myself, and I make sure to date everything so I can go back and be like, oh my God, on, July 22nd, 2017, this is exactly how I was feeling on this day. So it's
Wow.
almost like a little like diary of my life. So yeah.
That's awesome. So what is your writing process like when you write a song? You pull from a certain emotion, and then do you start off with a poem and then add the beat, or start with the beat first, or does it change?
It really kind of varies. Like a lot of the time, I'll write with my best friend Calvin, who's like super, super, super duper talented, or kind of just sit alone and write by myself. And it really varies. Like a lot of the time, I'll typically start with like a 4 chord piano or guitar loop, and typically write the bare bones of the song, usually the entire song, and then the production will be added afterwards. Or sometimes I'll have like a melody in my head, voice note everything. Or sometimes I'll have like lyrics that pop into my head, and I'll just write them down, and then eventually when I hear a beat, I'll see if those lyrics fit, if the energy or the vibe of that beat kind of aligns with what I was trying to say at that time. It honestly, like it changes. Like sometimes the words come first, sometimes the titles come first, sometimes the story I'm trying to tell comes first. Sometimes I kind of start writing without a story in mind. I just want to write whatever I feel. Yeah.
Wow. So there's really no rules. There's really no formula.
There aren't any rules in music, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Okay. No rules in music at all.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think there are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the way that you're describing that, do you enjoy like the writing process more than like actually performing the song, or like or is it equal?
Um, I think I enjoy the creation. I it's funny because like I used to love like putting music out, and I know I still do, but I'm beginning to love just like the writing process, the creation process altogether without even necessarily having to put it out, just creating for the sake of creating. So it's like I love performing because I get to meet people and like feel their energy, and like that exchange is such a beautiful thing to me. And then, but the creation process, like getting to even working with like other songwriters and just like vibing with each other on a level where we're able to come literally create something from scratch to evoke some sort of emotion and tell a story, I think is just such a beautiful, organic, creative process. Like I love that more than anything.
Wow. I mean, I feel like that proves that's like a testament to like your passion behind it. Cause I feel like anybody can be a singer, you know what I mean? Or like put music out, but like not everyone can be a true like artist. And I feel like just off of what you're explaining, like you take this stuff very serious. And speaking of writing, and you said you like collaborating with other people, like do you write for other artists as well?
I've been like a part of camps and stuff where I've been given like the opportunity to write with and for other artists, which has also been like a super nice experience just because it's nice to kind of take myself out of my own world while incorporating stories from my own world to connect with someone new who has a whole plethora of like stories and whatever they've been through, and find a connection and try to write about that. Like I think it's interesting kind of being like, hey, I don't know you, but let's just connect on a really deep, visceral level and come up with something beautiful to write about. So I think it's almost like a bit of speed dating in a sense, where you're like, hey, let's get to know each other super, super quickly. But I also think it's a beautiful process at the same time because you find connections with people you're meeting for the first time a lot of the time.
What is that like when you said it's like speed dating? Like, what is that like trying to hurry up and build a connection? Are you like, okay, this is the type of artist I am, this is the type of music I like to make, and then you vice versa, and then you come together?
Well, usually it's like they'll kind of come up with like a reference track of like, oh, I'm trying to make something like this or this, and within this vein. And like obviously, songwriting is a very vulnerable process. So opening up about your life or something, a story you want to tell, it's a trusting process. So you need to be able to open up someone, trust them, to actually divulge how you really feel to come up with something real. And I think a lot of the time, I'm a naturally very open person, which I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing yet, but a lot of the time I'll kind of start thinking, well, this is what I'm going through my life. And then a lot of the time that vulnerability, I hope, or usually happens, allows them to see that it's like a safe and trusting space and they begin to open up as well. So it's almost like, hey, like I'm standing on the line, come join me sort of deal. And then that relationship begins to build and that trust begins to build where you actually begin to open up and begin to actually write something.
Okay, so you form relationships with these other songwriters, and you get to know each other. And then, do you feel like as you get to know each other more, that the stuff that you create, the music you create, is gets better or like more?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you've collaborated with other songwriters and whatnot, but in terms of like on your music, is there an artist that you would be a dream collaboration for you to have a song with? You can name one or two, it doesn't matter.
I was like, I can't name one, but my like favorite artists, I mean, to do a collaboration with, Lauren Hill and Stevie Wonder. I like much.
Wow. Stevie Wonder.
Oh my god, I love Stevie Wonder. He's just like a musical genius.
Yeah, that's true. And well, who are your inspirations? Are they also your inspirations that, you know?
Definitely my inspirations. I think, um, as you probably know, I grew up in a very Ethiopian household, so listening to a lot of Ethiopian music mixed with like a combination of a lot of like neo soul, a lot of like Marvin Gaye, a lot of Bob Marley, mixed with like Aster Oak and Teddy Afro, and like just like that mix, and like a lot of Brandy. Like the first CD I ever bought, well, I mean, I didn't buy it; it was given to, it was bought for me. Was like Never Say Never by Brandy and like Writings on the Wall with Destiny's Child. Like those are the albums that like I was like, this is it for me. And like Brandy has like Brandy is like, oh, whew, she's like up there for me. She's everything for me. So definitely influenced by her as well.
And I'm sure you're enjoying her latest album release, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, so you said Brandy. Well, you named a couple of people who are your inspirations. So how do you feel like they've influenced your sound, or how would you describe your sound, your genre that you're in?
Well, firstly, I'm forever trying to perfect my Brandy runs. She has the most amazing runs and riff. It's kind of dumb. I'm like, how? But also, I think like just like the way I sing in terms of like the cadences, the tone that I use. A lot of Esther, if you listen to her, she uses a lot of her higher falsetto, and I think that's where I gravitate towards a lot of the time. But yeah, sorry, I forgot the second part.
Just pretty much asking like how you would describe your sound or what genre.
I would say I'm so heavily influenced by R&B. I want to say like R&B neo soul, but I also feel like I like to dive into, and I dip into like the alternative pool sometimes as well. Um, but yeah, I would say in that arena.
R&B and alternative. Okay, yeah, I think that sounds that that definitely sounds accurate to me too. So I want to kind of go back to, when you said you had that aha moment of, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to pursue music professionally. Was that like a hard decision to make? Especially being like Habesha, like there are certain career paths that our family wants for us, but for you to go ahead and choose something more creative, more unconventional and untraditional, was there any fear behind that decision, or like fear of what people would think?
There's a lot of fear of disappointment, because like for a long, I think, I mean, in any African household, any Black household, it's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I get it. Like, I understand. Like, they want to see something that's tangible, and music is something that like takes time and patience. And like I wanted to make that sacrifice in my life. At the same time, I also didn't want to disappoint, my dad who raised me as a single dad. So like that was a huge thing for me too. So kind of navigating that was an uphill battle for sure. But I think we're about at the top of the hill. So I think we've made it. So yeah, it was difficult. I think just like accepting it or even understanding it was like a big deal for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, their hearts are always in the right place, especially, being African in general, coming to this country, they really want to make sure that we have the best life and the best opportunities. Right. So I feel like it just kind of takes some convincing. Like, I know this doesn't sound like, ideal to you, but like, I really like this and look at what I'm doing. And I feel like in a short yeah, and I feel like in a short amount of time, like you've already like done so much, created so much, and like showed off your talents in amazing ways. So I feel like, if I was your dad, I would be very like, okay, she got this.
Thank you. And no, honestly, and like now, like I feel like my family is like super supportive, and they're really there for me in a lot of different ways. And like they're the first people to like share my music and tell the world that I just dropped a song and ask how they could further support it. So like they're super there for me, and they really support me in like what I do now. So I'm like grateful for that. That like they're behind me in all of this, because it is like it can be very taxing, like mentally, emotionally. So it's nice. It's important to have a good support system, and I'm really lucky to have my dad and my family who are like there for me and who kind of cheer me on.
Yes, and I love your dad, by the way. He's a really supportive guy too. Yeah. So, well, do you have like any advice for anyone that is trying to do something that their heart is calling them to do, but they might have some, apprehensions about it? Like, what advice would you give to someone like that?
Um, One quote that I live by, I don't remember who said it, but one thing I live by is everything great is on the opposite side of fear. And that's something I like always tell myself. So if I'm afraid of something, it usually tells me I should move towards it, unless it's obviously like life threatening or something.
Yeah.
But I try really hard not to let my fears dictate my future decisions. So
Yeah.
even if I'm afraid of it, I'll still move forward. Even I'll acknowledge my fear and I'll understand it and respect it and acknowledge it, but I won't let it stop me. You know.
Yeah, I see that. That's amazing. Okay, so I kind of want to play. I'm going to change course here real quick, and I want to play a game with you because you're the first artist that I've had the pleasure of speaking with, and so I feel like I can change it up a little bit, and I want to play a fun game, if you're down. So I want to just name off a couple of songs from your projects in the past, some recent, some older, and I want you to tell me the first word that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one, consistency.
Relationships.
Okay. Morning glory.
Sun.
I get it. Yeah. Don't come back. That's like new.
Oh, there's no time limit, right? Okay. Don't come back. Pride.
Okay. Heavy.
Emotions.
Congratulations.
Um, Closure.
Hmm. And finally, passes me.
Time.
Yeah. And speaking of that one, Passes Me, I gotta look this up so I don't want to butcher the lyrics, but um there is just like the intro verse to, am I saying that right? The first verse of the song is so like awesome. Hold on. So you say, come on, if my phone was loud. Okay. So you said, thought I could find you, but instead lost myself. Didn't know how high I climbed until I fell. Ran away so far that I can't see the tides. Drifting so slow that I cannot decide. I was like, oh, that's so deep.
You know what's crazy? That was actually, I remember I was in an Airbnb with my friends, and I remember like hearing the guitar, and then I literally had voice notes, and that entire thing was a freestyle. I have no idea where that came from. I literally have no clue. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, and like I said, like your lyrics sometimes are like simple but so powerful. Like thought I could find you, but instead lost myself. Didn't know how high I climbed until I fell. Like I feel like so many people can relate to that. And obviously the song is about a relationship, right?
Relationship with almost like time. Relationship with like time with people around you, not necessarily like, like having a partner, but more so like it's crazy that like you'll be so lost in whatever you're in, a time will literally pass you by, and sometimes you just need it to pause. And
Right. And you don't know like how much you've invested until you look back and you're like, whoa.
exactly, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that is awesome. What are your favorite songs?
Mine or like in general.
And no, of your own songs. Like what are your favorite? Or do you feel like they're all your babies and you love them the same?
I will admit that I have some favorites among my children. I definitely like a lot of songs I have not yet released, but I really, really like Morning Glory, and I really, really like Let You Know What. And I really, probably one of my favorite songs, and it's crazy because like not a lot of people even know this song, is Bride. That was off like my first EP ever, like
Hmm.
my baby. I love Bride. Yeah, those are probably my
I
favorite.
like those too. My favorite by yours, I tell you this all the time, is You.
Ah! Oh my
Yeah,
god.
because it's like a R&B pop type of song and it's just like fun, you know? It's fun. I don't know if I'm describing it. I hope I'm describing it
So
correctly. But
I just think about like who I wrote it about, and I was like, why did I do that?
really. So yeah, you did say that like every song is about a personal experience.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and even if it's something small like getting to know someone or a full-blown relationship, like you can pull something from every scenario.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So, I mean, what are your plans for the near future in terms of music? Like you're working on music, you're always working on music. Like, is there anything you're going to be releasing here soon? Like, if you want to share that.
Well, I just released a song last month on SoundCloud called "Don't Come Back" that you guys should totally listen to. But besides that, I'm just working on my project right now, so don't know when that's gonna be released yet. But it's sounding good so far.
Okay. When you say project, is that EP, album? Like, what does that mean? EP. Okay, and I feel like I should know this, but what is the difference between like an EP and an album?
So an EP is like an extended play. It's just basically like a short form of an album. So like think between 15 to 30 minutes. I don't know.
Oh,
And people, it's honestly a lot of people use project, album, and EP interchangeably at this point. But yeah, I think an EP can be up to 7 tracks. I'm not completely sure. Yeah, but albums come out with 7 tracks now, so it's like I guess it just really depends. I don't know.
and so do you like doing the EP route because you're sort of kind of like a newer artist? So do you feel like you just like release like little bits here and there to be like, you know, get to know me before I drop, you know, everything?
I definitely want to like. I mean, obviously, a debut is something I will work towards, but I definitely want to just drop bits and bits of like little projects so people actually understand me and get to know me and look forward to a debut. So, yeah.
Awesome. So you are, would you say you're kind of like strategic about like everything that you release and in the way you do it? Like you've thought this through, or is it just like, you know what, here's a song, I love it. I want people to hear it.
I definitely try to think through everything I do. Sometimes I think a little too much, but I definitely try to be really calculated in what I do and not oversaturating, but still releasing enough. So there's definitely some strategy to it, but at the same time, I'm also very like, this is how I feel right now. So I'm gonna release a song right now because in 2 months I will not feel this way. And yeah, so I'm trying to do that more often.
Right. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing more of your music. But so thank you so much for talking with me and sharing so much about your process and everything like that. How can we get in contact with you, like social media handles and music, and what to look for?
So you can find all my music on Spotify and Apple Music under Liza, so Liza. And I'm on social media on Twitter and Instagram at Liza, Liza Johannes, Yohannes. Honestly, it's like a little Lisa Johannes. Yeah, it's so freaking long. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Any last thing you want to say before we end this? Like, I don't know if you want to share some advice, tell people where to find your music, like what, anything.
I'm actually the worst at self promotion. Listen to my
I'll
music,
do it
guys.
for you.
No, thank you for having me. I always I love talking about emotions and songwriting and music. So I'm grateful